Hello, welcome to Business 100. This is Dr. Yohe. This is Chapter 6, The Nature of Management. Quickly, the importance of management. Management is designed to achieve objectives by using resources effectively and efficiently. Effectively means having the intended result. So if, for example, our objective is to provide goods and services to consumers in a fast, timely manner at a low cost and make a profit, or if our objective is to produce a good or a service at a lower cost than our competitor, whatever it is, if we accomplish that goal or that objective, then we're operating effectively. We also want to be effective and efficient. Efficiency means accomplishing objectives with minimum of resources. What this means is we don't want to waste things. So, for example, if we can get a job done with 40 man hours of work, we don't want to end up spending 44 man hours of work to get it done. Okay? Managers make decisions about the use of resources. Oftentimes, this is for owners. Okay? If you work for a large company, the owners may not even know who you are. Okay? But if you're a manager, it is your duty to make decisions about resource use, in this case, other people's resources, and to do it effectively and efficiently. Required resources. The first one is obviously employees. These are hired through staffing. Okay, that's a definition you'll need to know. Recruit, train, compensate, and provide benefits to foster loyalty. So here we want these employees to be loyal to the company so that they'll want to be effective and efficient in their tasks. Okay. Oftentimes, when you're talking about employees, you may need to downsize. One of the things there is, let's say we're a manager for a company, and we get the word or the words out that the company's going to downsize, and it'll be your responsibility to do that. One of the things you don't want to do is handle this decision in a way that, instead of fostering loyalty, creates disloyalty. You wouldn't, for example, want to go to the employees and say, hey, 10% cutbacks, we're going to be laying off. You guys better go look for another job. Okay? That's bad for the company and bad for the employee. If the employees wanted to look for another job, they would have already done it. If you go and tell them look for another job, hey, that 10% layoff, who are we going to lay off? You or some other manager are going to be the ones making that decision. Which employees are you going to want to lay off? Are you going to want to lay off the best ones, the hardest working, the ones that show up on time all the time, the ones that work hard when they're at work, the ones that get along with their coworkers and supervisors? Or are you going to want to lay off someone who doesn't show up on time or who doesn't work very hard, or your worst employees? So simply go out there and say, hey, you guys better look for another job. Those best employees are the ones that are probably going to be able to find another job the easiest and the quickest. And you're going to lose valuable talent and people you didn't want to lay off in the first place. You also don't want to go and badmouth the company. Oh, they're making bad decisions. They don't know what they're doing. Okay. If you do that, you're creating disloyalty to the company. Your best bet is to say, look, we're going to let you know who's going to be laid off. Okay. You might want to go to good employees and say, look, you have nothing to worry about. You're not going anywhere. Okay. And when the decision is made, or you know who's going to get laid off, say, hey, look, you might want to go, you personally might want to go look for another job because we're laying you off next week. Okay. That's up to the company if they feel that letting them know that early is advantageous to them. The only problem with that is if you tell somebody they're laying you off, you think they're going to work very hard? No. So you generally don't even want to do that. Okay. But don't go to a guy and say, hey, you're pretty sure is getting laid off. Don't go and say, hey, you're not getting laid off. Don't worry about it. But go to the important ones and let them know, hey, you're not going anywhere. You're too valuable to us. We don't want you to leave. You're not the one going. Okay. Suppliers, those are also resources. They ensure that products are made available to consumers. In global markets, firms enlist hundreds of diverse suppliers. If you're working, say, at the Goodyear plant or the Honda plant, those types of companies, they might have hundreds of suppliers all putting parts or something into that Honda that they make at the plant. So managers have to control suppliers and choose where we're going to get these supplies. Financial resources, you have to pay for essential activities, owners, shareholders, banks, and other financial institutions. Okay, if you're managing a business, you might be in charge of making sure that the bills get paid, that other, that other financial institutions, those types of things. The functions of management are sort of laid out here in a chart. Okay, we've got planning, activities to achieve the organization's objectives. Planning is a big part of management. Most people think of management, they think, oh, you're going in there and telling Joe to go here today and Bill to go there today and making sure that Tom's doing what he's supposed to do. Those are all part of a job, but it's also planning. You're also trying to make sure that resources you need to be effective and efficient are available, not just now, but in the future. The purpose of a business is to correctly anticipate future human wants and needs and provision for them now so that the goods are available when the customer wants them. So it's not just get the job done today, it's now and in the future. Organizing resources and activities to achieve the organization's objectives. Okay, we've got 10 workers. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? Okay. Directing employees' activities towards achievement of goals. We're going to lay those objectives out for those employees, at least their role in it. Okay, if we're putting together a car, say down at the Honda plant, we're going to go to the or say 100 cars today at the Honda plant. We're going to go down to the to the people who install the dashboard and say, look, we need to get 100 dashboards into these cars. Make sure you have the parts ready. Make sure you've got enough people here to do it, and make sure you get it done fast enough so we can get 100 done today. And finally, controlling the organization's activities to keep it on course. That goes without saying. Planning, the first of these, planning. 1, lays the groundwork for the other functions. It requires a statement of mission or a mission statement. Goals are the results the firm wishes to achieve. One of a simple one, we want to make a profit. We want to provide good cars. We want to make good cars that retain their value, that are well made. Those would be examples of mission statements that we need to plan for. Goals are the result of the firm's wishes to achieve. Objectives are measurable statements on common issues such as profit, competitive advantage, efficiency, and growth. Plans specify how to meet objectives. Now, there's a section in your book where they talk about the pressure. I gotta move this, there we go. The pressure, decision overload in the workplace. Okay. A key part of a manager's job is to make decisions, because many of these decisions have wide-ranging repercussions. The pressure to make the correct decision is high. Unfortunately, many managerial decisions have to be made without knowing all the facts, making it more difficult to anticipate the outcome. It's not just enough to make a decision, we have to make that decision in advance in a timely manner so that that decision can be implemented and help the firm achieve their goals. Managers are estimated to make a total of 3 billion decisions every year. Without so many decisions to make, it's easy to succumb with so many, it's easy to succumb to decision overload. Studies show that during days when authority figures make many decisions, their decision-making function tends to break down. As decision fatigue sets in for managers, this can have a significant impact on important business outcomes. However, there are ways that managers can avoid this decision fatigue and improve their decision-making skills. One effective method for this is to use industry best practices to make decisions. Okay? Many industries have sets of best practices they have adopted, and managers who use best practices in decision making have been shown to achieve intended results 90% of the time. So instead of saying each individual case, let's make a new decision, we say that in cases that meet this criteria, or decisions where we do this a lot, we found out in the past that just simply doing this has been effective. Yet many decisions tend to be unique to the organization. In this case, managers should always ask themselves what the final consequences are likely to be and brainstorm different alternatives. Okay. Perhaps the most important thing for managers to remember is that decision making is not an isolated activity. Although it is up to the manager to make the final decision, soliciting the input of other people helps the manager understand the problem better and consider alternatives he or she might not have considered. Okay? Just because you ask someone for their opinion on a decision doesn't mean you have to take it if you're the manager. But you can also acquire additional information, insight, and use the knowledge of people around you. Going back to this, I happen to know someone who manages an institution. I won't even tell you what it is. But many times I go there and I scratch my head. I'm like, why would this person have made this decision? Now, one, I don't have all the information that they have. Okay. But this particular person that I know makes a lot of decisions a day and doesn't solicit the opinion of subordinates, coworkers, and tends to make these decisions all on their own, like this person is isolated. Okay. I can tell when I'm around a person, I can tell that they are overloaded. They're tired from making all of the decisions and not, in this case, I think maybe this person might make better decisions, might not have as much stress in their lives. Two good things, right? Good for both, for the company and the person. You want to make better decisions. You want the business to be successful. You don't want your workers to be overloaded and burdened. They might leave. They might, in this case, not be effective because they're making too many decisions. Maybe in some cases, this person could not micromanage everything so much. Say, okay, here's a general rule. If this, then that. Here's certain industry or business practices that we're going to follow. Okay. If you have questions, if you question this, then come to me. If you're not sure this is the right decision to make or the right idea, then you can come to me, and then I'll take the particulars in and make a decision and see if maybe we shouldn't follow this standardized practice. Strategic plans, part of planning, establish objective and strategy to fulfill the mission of the business. These generally cover periods ranging from 1 year or longer. Okay, strategic plans. Should we add new products? Maybe here at Gadsden State, should we add a new major? Okay, should we add a public administration major or something like that? Okay. We have to make strategic plans on purchasing other companies. Okay. Gadsden State doesn't purchase companies, we're a state in business, but a business might say, hey, we could benefit by purchasing this other business. There are things in that business that would work along well with what we do. Purchasing another company might reduce competition. Okay. Those types of things. We might need to sell off unprofitable segments of the business, issue stock, move into international markets. These are all decisions that are part of strategic plans. These are longer range plans or goals. Tactical plans are short range plans to implement a strategic plan. These usually cover a period of a year or less. These keep firm on course established in strategic plans. Maybe in say 2 years, we want to come out with a new product. So the first stage or tactical plan might be, let's set up a team to work on developing this new product, take these ideas we have and turn them into a product. And then build facilities, might be another strategic plan after a year, build a facility where we can manufacture this product and establish a marketing network after that. So those would be tactical plans. They're all part of this strategic plan of adding a new product to what our business sells. Okay, ever-changing markets require short-run or tactical plans to deal with changing environments. Maybe we find out a competitor is planning to come online with a similar product. That's going to cause us to maybe change or implement different tactical plans to deal with that changing environment. We might want to try and speed things up, get our product out first. Operational plans specify actions to achieve the tactical plan. Apply to details in executing activities quickly. Crisis management or contingency planning, okay, deals with potential disasters. Many businesses don't have updated plans. Approximately 40% of small businesses don't reopen after a disaster. Okay. Obviously, Hurricane Florence, which has just hit the Carolinas. If these companies don't have crisis management or contingency planning, and the hurricane comes and wipes out their businesses, it may be very difficult, even with insurance money and other things, to reopen the business. Say it's going to take 6 months to get the business reopened. What are we going to do with those employees for 6 months? If we just lay them off, they're more than likely going to find new jobs. And when we're ready to reopen, we're not going to have a talented workforce that knows how to do the job. Okay. So here you can see this company, Herbalife, does business in 90 countries, and contingency plans must often be made for fluctuating exchange rates. What happens if you're doing business internationally and exchange rates fluctuate? Okay. Turkey right now. The number of lira that it takes to buy a dollar has gone up dramatically. If Herbalife is in Turkey and they're selling, I think they sell herbs or something. I don't know anything about this company. And the exchange rates go up, they sell their good for lira. What are they going to do? Are they going to raise their prices? One of the things they could do would have been to buy options in the past that guarantee a fixed rate between lira and dollars so that they could still continue to sell their product in lira and send home a known quantity of dollars rather than whatever the market dictates on that day. Organizing, another function of management is organizing. The structuring of resources and activities helps create synergy, establishes lines of authority, improves communication, helps avoid duplication of resources, improves competitiveness by speeding up decision making. Okay. I know of a small company, they had a problem recently. The supervisor, we'll call him the general manager, had a problem. Employees or customers in this case were going to a subordinate and complaining about things to the subordinate. The subordinate, who didn't have the information and didn't have the goals of the company in mind, was not handling these complaints properly. It wasn't their job, it's not their skill. So one of the things there is they needed to organize that business better. Say, okay, your job is not to handle complaints. That's the job of, say, the general manager. So if someone comes to you with a complaint, instead of you talking to them and trying to deal with them, send them to the general manager or get the general manager in and let him handle it. Plus, if you're supposed to be, I don't know, I'm making this up, but if you're supposed to be helping customers and you're handling complaints, then customers who are paying money aren't getting served and some of them might leave. So there, a better organization would lead to, one, those customers that do have complaints being satisfied and the company making more money. And people who specialize in handling complaints. People who specialize in helping customers. Organization does all these things. Directing, motivating and leading employees. This is what most of us think about when they think of management, but it's a part of management. It's not all. Telling employees what to do, when to do it, using deadlines that encourage them to do their work. Determining and administering rewards and recognition. Providing incentives. Ask workers to contribute ideas for reducing costs, making equipment more efficient, improving customer service, or developing new products. And finally, the last function of management we have is controlling, where we evaluating and correcting activities. This includes 5 activities. Measuring performance. Oftentimes this is very difficult to do. If you're working at the Honda plant, maybe we're managing the people who are installing, say, dashboards. One of the things we might do is set up a measuring system, a metric. Say, okay, each worker should be able to, on average, install 20 dashboards. So you are above average worker if you install more than 20 a day, below average if you install less than 20 a day. Okay, that might not be all there is to it. I mean, hey, I could slap a dashboard in there, but did I do it right? So there we might have comebacks or quality assurance and say, if you have so many defective dashboard installations, that's as important in our metrics as whether or not you put one in. Okay, comparing performance with standards or objectives. evaluating employees. Hey, you had 16 dashboards on average this month, and 4 of them were defective. The numbers we look at are 20 and 2. You're behind, and we need to figure out why you're deviating from this standard. Is it because you didn't try? Is it because you're not trained properly? Is it because you're not motivated properly? What do we need to do to get someone in that spot who can do 20 a day with two failures? Investigating the causes of the deviations, those I just kind of combined. Taking corrective action when necessary. We might tell an employee, hey, we looked in this, we found out the reason you're not getting 20 a day and you're having more than 2 defects is because you aren't trained properly. We're going to retrain you. Maybe we're going to put a supervisor or an experienced worker with you to make sure you know how to do this properly and to be effective and efficient. Okay. Or we may have to let you go. Levels of management planning. Got a nice little pyramid here. We've got top management. Those are oftentimes executives, president, CEO, executive vice president. We have middle managers, plant managers, division managers, and department managers. And then first line management, foremen, supervisors, office managers. The importance of management functions to each level. And if you look here, different types of managers have different levels of using these different functions of management. Upper management is going to be heavily involved in planning, organizing, staffing, and less so in directing and controlling. Middle managers are more involved in organizing and staffing, along with planning. First line managers, they're more immediate. They're less involved in planning, but more in controlling. Hey, Joe, you work that machine. Fred, you work this machine, right? Joe, you're not getting 20 a day. If you don't get going, we're going to have to train you or fire you or something. Directing, staffing, and less involved in planning and organizing. So not every manager is out there doing the same thing. Top management, they have overall responsibility for organization. In publicly owned corporations, the CEO's boss is board of the directors. He reports to them. They spend most time planning and making strategic decisions. What are we going to do with this company? What are the goals? What types of things do we have to do to go out there and fulfill the mission statement of this company? Compensation committees work with directors and CEOs to keep their payment in line with performance. Workforce diversity is good for workers and for bottom line. Okay. That's what they do. Here's some compensation for these guys. They make a lot of money for making these types of decisions. Types of management. Middle management, responsible for generally tactical planning. They'll take the strategic plan and their job is to implement it, to make the tactical decisions to get this done. They have more focused responsibilities and spend more time organizing than other managers. This includes plant managers, division managers, and department managers. Middle management ranks have been shrinking as more companies downsize. Front line or first line management supervises workers in daily operations. They implement plans established by middle management and direct workers' daily performance. They spend most of their time directing and controlling. This includes foremen, supervisors, and office service managers. Areas of management. You can specialize in basic functional areas, and those are finance, okay, production and operations, human resources, marketing, IT, administration. These are all different specializations where um, where management takes place. These are the jobs that these different managers have. I'm just going to let you read them. Um, Financial manager, production and operations manager, human resources manager, marketing manager, IT manager, administrative manager. Managerial roles: figure, liaison, leadership, interpersonal, informational, monitor, disseminator, spokesperson. Decisional, entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, negotiation. Skills needed by managers. Here's something we need to talk about. Specialized for technical expertise, which is specialized knowledge and training needed to train employees, answer questions, provide guidance, and solve problems. These are needed most by frontline managers and least critical to top line managers. The CEO of the company doesn't need to know, of Honda, doesn't need to know how to put a dashboard in. The frontline supervisors do.